Sparticle Mystery is a British television show about all the adults in the world suddenly disappearing. The kids, all 14 and younger, are left behind and the world is all for them. Some kids goof off doing whatever they want, and some go on a wild rampage, stealing and breaking stuff. And some want to find out what happened and how to get the adults back. Introducing our main characters. Others will try to stop them, not wanting the adults to come back. The show got 3 seasons, airing from 2011 to 2015, and I'm here to talk about it. But if you haven't watched the show, I highly recommend that you do. Or at least the first 2 seasons anyway. The third one, we'll get to that later. You can watch the first season for free on the Roku channel, and I think you can watch it on YouTube. Right from the get-go, we are introduced to almost every single one of our main characters throughout the first season of the show. You immediately know what the characters are like and their personalities and how it's going to be with them throughout the show. And I might mention that the characters rub off on each other so well. I mean, the kids really act like kids would in this situation. Some of them are responsible and want to do good and want to find out what's going on. And some of them just are kind of goofing off, and that's kind of a coping mechanism for them. Which, yeah, with kids, that's how they cope sometimes, by kidding around and having fun. So the show does a good job of showing how the kids would react. There is one character that goes off, as I said in the intro, I said that some kids go off on a wild rampage, breaking stuff. And yes, one of the characters that we are introduced to in the very beginning becomes a minor antagonist throughout the show, just causing havoc and basically pestering our main characters. He causes a lot of trouble for them. I believe his name is Callum, if I remember correctly, and I suppose that some people may say that he overreacts and does some things that kids wouldn't do. He does at some point threaten one of the youngest children, whose name is Reese, and he does throw a brick through a car window. But I do know some people who, if it was the end of the world and they could do whatever they want, they would probably not be very well behaved and would probably do the exact same thing because they can and because they're older, because no adult is there to stop them. But as for our main characters, they find a place to stay, a hotel, and they're kind of settling down, trying to figure out what's going on. Or at least Reese is. Some of the other kids, they're not too eager to find out what's going on at first. They just want to settle down and get used to things and just really calm down and process what has happened. So if you are one who likes shows where the characters get to the point of the mystery, this probably wouldn't be the best for you because the characters aren't really into finding out the mystery too quickly at first. That is until the second season, but we'll get into that later. As for the first season, I think it did a really good job with the show. It knew the direction it wanted to go. It ended with a fairly good reason to stick around for the second season. I don't want to get too spoiler heavy in this interview, so I won't say too much about it. Though when I get into the third season and the end of the second season, I will probably get a little bit more spoiler heavy, but in my opinion, I didn't like the third season as much, so I guess that's the reason why I am spoiling it more than the first 2 seasons, because they are actually very good, and I had a lot of fun watching those parts of the show. Though if you do end up liking the third season, that is perfectly fine. So to summarize the first season with minimal spoilers, I would say that the characters are good, the way that they react with each other is good, the jokes are funny, like most of it can be very funny whenever it wants to. It's a good show, and it's not always too serious. There is a big cast of characters, but each one of them get their moment to shine, and they each are given a reason of why you should care about them. So I think that's pretty good considering that, yeah, there are a lot of characters in the show. There isn't really a big bad villain in the first season except for Callum, and he just gets in the way sometimes. So the antagonist isn't really a big deal until season 2. So in season 2, we get the antagonist called Fizzy, I think is his name. I always struggled remembering it for some reason, but he does not want the adults to come back. He wants the world to be his. He doesn't want any grown-ups there anymore. And one of the characters named Ruby, who is a part of the main cast of characters, does not want the adults to come back either. Her parents were always arguing and she doesn't want them to come there. So she basically is siding with Fizzy in this instance. She does not want them to come back, and she does end up helping him, along with some other girl who Sadiq ends up falling in love with. I think that the romance in the show was handled very well because two characters, Jeffrey and Tia, end up falling in love and their thing together, and their romance was handled very well. But as for the person that Sadiq had a crush on, and honestly, I didn't really like her a whole lot, so I don't even remember her name. She wasn't a very good character, and I don't think their romance was handled very well. And we weren't really given a reason of why Sadiq would even like her. So Jeffrey and Tia's romance was handled well, and I won't spoil anything about their romance. But as for Sadiq and the other girl's romance, I don't think it was handled very well at all. But aside from the not very good romance aspect of season 2, the rest of it was pretty good. It was just your typical, we're going on a trip to do something, and most of the episodes are filler of the characters finding other people and helping them out, and just doing stuff with the people. Now this is where it kind of gets spoiler heavy. So if you don't want to be spoiled, I would definitely advise clicking off of the video right now. Reese is able to see, into the place where the adults have been put. She can see where they are at times, and she meets with this person who can also see where they are, and she's able to, open into these other worlds. There's these other dimensions, basically. In the world of the Sparticle Mystery, there's a bunch of dimensions, and she can open into them. And as they are trying to get the adults' world and their world put back together again, she sees that if they put the wrong worlds together, their worlds could much literally end. So at the end of the second season, whenever they are trying to rejoin the worlds together, she messes everything up and almost destroys the entire world, basically. But instead, the adults, their parents, come back as children. Season 2 is left on a major cliffhanger. Season 3 is opened up with the adult kids, and the kids are at war with each other. The adult kids have been pulled out of their world, and the kids just want their parents to get back, but the adult kids are mad, and it's just a big, big mess. Our characters have been taken prisoner by the adult kids. Luckily, they are able to escape, and now they have to find a way to get the adult kids back to their world and get their real parents that are adults back. It doesn't sound like too bad of an idea, but the way it was handled was not good. Basically, the way to get the world back, everything back to normal, is to find other witch children, as Reese is called because she is able to see into these dimensions. They have to find, I think, 6 or 7 more of them because there's more of them out there, apparently. So it's just another journey season, but this time they're trying to find witch kids, basically. And they also help other people who have been affected by the adult kids and all of this crazy stuff that is going on. The way it was handled was not very good. And I think that the third season was honestly just the people who produced the show trying to get a little extra cash before they decided to end the show. So it doesn't really feel that good of a season. Not only that, but most of the actors for the characters did not come back for the second season. The only ones that did come back were Sadiq, Frankie, Liam, Reese, Ruby, and Sadiq's new girlfriend. And I do like Sadiq and Reese and Liam and Frankie, but it was just kind of disappointing that Jeffrey and Kat and Tia and all the others didn't come back. Though the show did officially end at the very end of season 3, they are able to get the adults back. There is one clip where all the kids are with their parents and they shout, "We did it!" They finally got the adults back. The Sparticle Mystery is not a bad show by all means, but season 3 was just kind of disappointing and very anticlimactic. I myself didn't like that, but if you do happen to watch season 3 or have watched the Sparticle Mystery before and do enjoy it, there's nothing wrong with that. This is just my opinion, and not everybody is going to agree with what I think. If you have watched the show, I would love to hear your opinion in the comments down below. Thank you for watching, and see you next week.